YCS. I am Lorenzo Brown, and welcome to the PPS podcast, which is the Promising Pathways to Success podcast. Now, you may know or not know that Promising Pathways to Success initially started with the Nurtured Heart approach, and it was all about reducing seclusion and restraints and engaging the employees. And me and some of my colleagues were having presentations, but afterwards we thought we got to shake this up a little bit and have less presentation and more conversation. And so now we are doing the first Promising Pathways to Success podcast. Really excited about this because I have a special guest and I cannot wait to introduce her. I gotta actually take out my cards to introduce her because she deserves a really, really good introduction. This individual is currently employed as a residential assistant at YCS Holly Center. And I know many of us know Holly Center, and I actually had a privilege of working with her when I was a program director at Holly Center. She was also an ABA and a RBT paraprofessional at Thomas Jefferson Middle School. She also has 12 years of experience in the medical field, and she is also a full spectrum doula, and she'll tell us more about that. After transitioning from the medical field, she explored real estate, but found her calling in supportive care roles, working as an ABA paraprofessional and an RA. So I'm super excited to introduce Miss Cleo. Some of her know as Cleo Chance, your fave, but most of you know her as Miss Cleo. Miss Cleo, welcome. I'm so happy to have you on here, and I've been waiting for this day.
How
you doing today?
I'm great. Yourself?
Good, good. I'm great. So Miss Cleo, you are on this couch. You are our very first guest. And so let me tell you a little bit about Miss Cleo from my experience. We worked together. I was a program director. She was an RA. And my last memory with Miss Cleo was me dressed up as an Easter bunny, and both of us with microphones singing during one of Holly Center's Holly Bucks events, which was an Easter egg hunt. Mm-hmm. So Miss Cleo, you had a lot of energy, and I said, when I worked with you that day, I said, I know I'm gonna do something much more. So tell me about yourself, Miss Cleo. How did you get to Holly Center? How did you even come to YCS?
So originally, I used to volunteer here as a mentor for one of the youth, about between 10 and 15 years now. I would come and spend time with the youth, do arts and craft, just talk and be whatever emotional support I can be for her. Then I ventured out into my other work fields. After I left the medical field, I ventured out and did other things. I was in real estate, but then I went and I was doing retail. And Mr. White and Mr. Tyrone, on 2 different occasions, they came into the store, and I was like, hey, I know this van. I seen the logo. It's like, I used to volunteer there. You guys accepting volunteers now? They was like, oh, just apply. So I was like, okay. So I applied, and I started working. I got hired. I started working. And it's just something I've always wanted to do, working with the kids that came from the same background as I did or similar backgrounds. I just wanted to be able to pay it forward, kind of, be able to deal with the kids and help them navigate in whatever way that I can.
And so you were volunteering, so that means you weren't getting paid. You were doing it. So, like, how were you able to get that volunteer opportunity for YCS?
Because of when I was younger and I was living in the group homes and stuff, I had a mentor. Okay. And we're still in touch to this day. I met her when I was 15. And she actually told me, hey, I know that you were interested in helping out the kids. Yeah. Here's my connection. And I got in touch that way, and I just contacted YCS and was able to go through the process.
I definitely want to get into the weeds of your story, because you said you were living in a group home, and I'm not sure if you were born into the system, but that's kind of, I was born into the system, sort of foster care system. I never had the experience of living in a group home, or I wasn't old enough to remember how it was living with a foster home. But if you can just bring us back, if you don't mind, share your story of how that even came to be about, of you living in a group home.
So when I was about 4 years old, me and my siblings, my parents struggled with addiction, and my father had a lot of legal problems. So we were taken away from my mother and my father and placed with her mother, my grandmother. When she passed away, my mother lost total custody of us. We were all sent out to different homes and stuff like that. That's when I was living in New York. I was born in New York, in the system in New York. From 4 to about 8, I was in New York. We ended up in a house in Jersey over here, where we met me, my sister, my brother, me, my younger sister, my younger brother, Andre. We met my older siblings in New Jersey because they were in the foster home over here. And the story's a little out there. Okay. We were with them for a couple of years, then we were taken out of that house because we weren't supposed to be in the house in New Jersey because we were New York kids. I'm not sure of that legal part, but we were taken out of the house. The lady that we were living with over here got an apartment in the Bronx so that she could adopt the 4 younger ones. It was me, my sister, my brother, and my older brother, Casanova. She went to the apartment in New York so that she could adopt us and then bring us back to New Jersey. After we were adopted, the woman who adopted us was married to someone else who had a drinking problem and was abusive, so that became a huge problem over time. I tried to help my siblings by getting us out. I would write the guidance counselors and school letters. School was an escape for me from the reality of what was going on in the home at the time. There was a lot of abuse.
Your siblings were together?
4 of us at the time.
Wow, that's rare.
Just the younger 4 because the older 5 got there before me and my younger 2 siblings got there. We got there, met them. The oldest 4 didn't want to come back. Okay. So then my older brother, then me, my 2 younger siblings, ended up staying in a house in the Bronx so that we could get adopted, brought over here. Abuse happened with the other lady. She was, again, abusive, alcoholic, and she took her anger out on us. So I eventually wrote enough letters to get us DIFUS to come to, at the time it was called DIFUS, to come to the house and look at us. The last time that they came and actually removed us is because the lady was intoxicated at the moment and was threatening us and them in their presence. Prior to that, we weren't being taken out of the house. So we were put into group homes. Me and my sister went to a foster home in Hoboken, and then we were all just separated from there. Yeah.
Wow. So with my story, when I was removed and put in the DIFUS, years later I ended up working for DIFUS. And I see it's a similar situation with you. You know, you're working with youth. Some of them may be under the custody of their parents, but you know, there are others who aren't. Do you think that's why you got into this field? Because
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's the main reason. I say it's my my heart's work. I can do medical field. I can do real estate. I can do retail. I only care the most when I'm helping people.
Same.
And I feel like, for me, the reach back and give paying it back forward, or whatever the saying is, I remember what it felt like to be the kid and felt like nobody cared. You know, so I don't want the kids who are currently going through this stage in life or something similar, being out of home and whatever situations that brought them to wherever locations they're at. Where you are isn't where you have to stay. And I just want them to know that. And if it comes when I was a kid living in these group homes, as an adult, there was only so much you can tell me, because at the end of the day, and the kids say it, you go home. I'm here. So that you can't relate thing is a huge factor when I was a kid. And I do see it a lot with some of the kids here. And I love that part because I say, I do get it. I do understand. So I'm speaking from experience. That's how I'm able to help you through this part. So.
You know, one of the things that we aim to do here at YCS is really promote trauma-informed care and really have people understand that people come from a place of trauma, and we want to look at these behaviors and symptoms as trauma behaviors and stress behaviors. And so, being that you went through a trauma, because getting removed from your home and bouncing back to from place to place, it is a trauma. It's traumatic. And so, how did you take care of yourself? What did you do to become this vibrant woman that we see before us right now?
Thank you. Part of that is when we started in foster care, I was the oldest one, and I had 2 younger siblings with me at first. Then we got with the older ones, but they were never really older siblings to me. I was still big sister. So I was very protective of them, and then realizing that whatever I did, they were watching. Till this day, my sister, who's a year younger than me, she tells me, I am who I am now because I was following your lead. And that was always in my head as a child. I wanted to do better. It was, again, I'm here now. I don't have to stay here. If the only thing that's going to improve, the only thing that's going to change is if I make differences in myself. That includes your mindset. Unfortunately, we were placed in the situation we were in. We didn't ask to be there. I didn't want to be there, but I was there. I could sit and complain about it or take action and do what I need to do to see myself out of it on the better side of all things.
Yeah.
So a mindset.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to teach the kids now. You don't have to like where you're at. You're not always going to like where you're at in life. It's all about how you go about it that makes a difference. So.
Yeah, and I'm sure your experiences really help you work and connect with the kids that you're working with at Holly Center. Is there anything that you experience that might be triggering and bring up your past in a way that, like you kind of struggle through and you have to work through?
A lot of things, and that's another thing what I like about working here. It helps me continue to work on myself, because one thing I've learned is healing is not a temporary thing. It's a lifelong thing. You're always going to run into something or someone that's going to remind you of something that either you haven't worked on or you need to continue to work on. That's life. So a lot of times with the kids, one thing that people don't know about me is I was in a domestic violence situation when I was married. So a lot of yelling and screaming and, just when the kids get angry, they like to try to go for the jugular. So you have to be mindful, because that was something that my ex-husband used to do. He was very, oh, your family doesn't care about you. So you have to learn to tune that out and focus on, all right, so you're saying that because you're upset. What are we upset about? And go back to the actual root of the problem and not focus on. Once you learn yourself and learn how to manage your emotions, it's a lot easier to just navigate through all of that.
Yeah,
It takes practice still to this day.
I'm sure it does. What kind of feedback do the kids give you? Because you work with them, so I'm sure they talk to you a lot. And the kids that we work with, they go through a whole bunch of different groups, and and I'm sure they relate to you. So, like, tell me some of the feedback they give to you as an RA.
They claim they love me. So it makes it a lot easier for them to listen to me.
That's a good thing.
I know for one of the kids that we had from the original group when I started, very, very emotional person, and very reactive in those emotional times. I remember her telling me she was upset. Hey, Miss Cleo, I'm just so mad, whatever the case is. She only wanted to talk to me. I'm like, you have good rapport with the other staff, but I'll talk to you. If that's what you want, that's what's going to help you, I'll talk to you. And she's like, it's just part to what I was just saying, my experience. She's like, it really helps. I'm really grateful that you're here helping us, because sometimes we feel like people don't get it. And you'll talk to us and you'll just let us say what we have to say and get off our chest, and then I come back a response. It's always, she can tell her words where I can tell that you're talking to me from your experience, because it's not just textbook answer. It's something that fits the situation. Oh, your mom upset you. You don't have to go about it this way. Just stuff like that, because it comes from, again, certain, that I'm not, downsizing and downplaying anybody's role. That's not my area with that. I just know that that's one area I could connect with them with, and that can be beneficial, because I was a kid. You can't tell me anything if you haven't been through it.
Right. And I like that you mentioned this to kind of help me with my segue, because we have different staff, right? You're not the only staff there, and there's different levels of staff as well. And so what advice would you give to the RA that you see is not really as engaged or making that much of an impact? What is something that you can tell them to help them to be more effective at their job and to feel better about it too?
I always tell them. It's not what I can tell them, it's what I always tell them.
We want to know.
If you want them to respect you, you've got to engage with them, point blank. If you are just here, because they'll tell you, there's been times where the kids will tell you, this person just comes and, they don't feel like they really care too much to be around them. They're just doing whatever they're doing. And it might not actually be the staff not wanting to be a part of it. Some of them are a little nervous. I don't know you. I got to watch how you're doing. So I said, if a kid is just watching TV, hey, what you watching? Just engage with them. Show them, hey, I'm here with you. Not just watching you, not just in the background while you're here doing what you're doing. That little bit of engagement. Say good morning every day. When you're leaving, say goodbye. Just little things. So I'll tell them, you don't have to, try to be their best friend. Or a lot of them come in thinking it's like, oh, they like, what's your favorite snack? I'll bring some snacks in. You don't have to do that. That's opening the door to make yourself a target. What you can do is talk to them. Get to know who they are. Tell them a little bit, minimal stuff about yourself, just so you have that type of, hey, I know you. I feel comfortable. We can start to build some type of rapport.
Yeah.
That works a lot easier than coming in, I'm an adult, you have to listen to me. Because they're going to tell you that they won't, and they won't.
Yeah, I was just talking, I train handle with care, and I was just talking to some of my trainees about that. It's all about relationships.
That's it.
We're talking about reducing seclusion and restraints, and it's all about building that relationship. You want to be that staff that when you walk into the room, it's like, oh, like Miss Cleo's here. Like now I'm going to de-escalate because I want to talk to her now, and I'm going to give her an earful. And that's fine because I'm sure you're here for it,
Yep.
right? And so you want to be the staff that they, really like admire. I'll tell them, be that staff, and it's all about, it's not a little thing. It's not a little thing, it's a big thing. Saying hi and good morning. Because some people don't. Some people don't want to speak. They don't feel as though they have to respect the kids in that manner. But those little things are really big things because it makes the kid, I know how you're looking at me, and you respect me, and I'm going to respect you, meaning like, okay, Miss Cleo's here, I'll never do that to her because it's Miss Cleo.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, okay. And so what are some struggles that you have with the kids? Because, you make them sound like little angels, right? And we all know that they can be a little mischievous at times, or they can struggle through some of their stress and trauma behaviors. And so what are some things that you struggle with?
Not that I struggle with it much anymore, because I, was able to put in the work. I had a hard time with being disrespected by kids. Like, to me, I've worked with kids before, but in daycare and a babysitter, and it's usually kids who knew me and respected me. So there was never a moment where I had to deal with teenagers at that, or young adults about to become teenagers, full-blown cursing me out. I'm an adult. What is this? So that was a little bit of adjustment for me, because before this, I'm a neighborhood auntie. So everyone knew me as Auntie Cleo. We have that relationship. I could talk to them. They respect me. I respect them. There was never a possibility of or a situation where the children were openly disrespectful. So this was my first hand with that. I had a hard time dealing with that at first. Then I had to realize I knew what I was walking into. These are kids, and me responding in a manner that's going to only further the action is not going to help them. We are leading by example. So even in those moments, I had to remind myself, you have to respond appropriately because they're watching and whatever. I remember my sister and my brother, you're watching me. You're going to do what I'm doing, not what I'm telling, do as I say, not as I do. Yeah, one of those situations. So I had to make sure I did right so that they wouldn't think it's okay to respond that way.
Yeah, and these kids, they do this, right? I learned that in my diapers days, because that is one thing that they can do. We have to realize they've been powerless in a situation. They're not removing themselves and placing themselves in another situation. All the adults are making the decisions for them. And it's like, okay, well, the one thing I can do is curse you out and get all my anger and frustration out, right? And we want to understand that this is something that will happen. And so you just kind of have a calm demeanor. But with that, they're also saying something. They're also communicating too. So you want to be able to actively listen and don't take it personally.
Exactly.
But it's definitely something that I think we've all experienced working around kids that exhibit these behaviors. But Miss Cleo, I'm going to get into some of what is going on with you because you have a lot of things going on outside of YCS, but I feel like they connect in some way, and which is awesome. Like, as well, outside of YCS, I'm a professor, I'm a therapist, I'm also an author. We want to talk about that too, because I heard some things about you, Miss Cleo, all right? But I heard that you are trained as a doula.
Yes.
And many people probably have no idea what that is. I'm familiar with what doulas are, but many people aren't. So I want you to tell the audience about your doula career.
So full spectrum doula. I have clients, I work with clients who are either trying to get pregnant, currently pregnant. We have the option of abortions for an abortion doula. Then the postnatal, after they've had the kids. So basically full spectrum is you can go from the beginning to the end, even down to hospice doula, but I don't choose that as an option. So the whole thing is to be emotional support, foremost, to provide education if necessary, resources that are needed for whatever area. I like to deal with the birthing part, the before they have the baby, during the birth, and a little while afterwards, just so I can have that, familiar. They can be familiar with me. I can be familiar with them. And it's easier to just go through it all together.
Right.
There was a client where she just wanted me as a birth doula, and that was okay, that was fine. The issue with that is if I'm just entering, and it was during the COVID time, so I could only be in the room right after she had the baby, and then that was it. I lived in Pennsylvania at the time. She lived in Jersey, so I'd have to drive down from Pennsylvania, go to the hospital, sit in the waiting room, go into the room after she was done with the C-section, come back out, and then wait for her in the post-op room. That was a little awkward because I wasn't able to be there for you.
Do your job. That's emotional support.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was a little weird. So I like to do all three together if I can. And also before when they were trying to get pregnant, I used to work at infertility, reproductive medicine.
Okay.
So that part was good for me because I was able to help them with people who were looking for places or trying to go through the process emotionally. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So to go through that alone was a big, so I used to offer free services when I worked at the medical office because I seen what they were going through. And I'm like, listen, I can't do everything for you, but I could help you, give you tips, send you articles, give you suggestions on places and things like that. So, yeah, so the full spectrum is just all around.
So if somebody wanted to become a doula, like what would the first step be?
I went to a program in Brooklyn, Ancient Doula, I think it was called. Ancient Doulas. That's bad because I graduated from there and I should know the name. But I think Ancient Doula Services or something like that. So I went and it was about 4 or 5 weeks and then COVID hit. So then I had to do the rest of it online. But it was a full educational experience. We got hands-on. We were doing a lot of, I guess you would call it internship, where I would offer my services to other people just to get, the counts going and my experience on chart. So it was a great experience. I like overall more than just the teaching of the course. I like the sisterhood that it was all about. And that was right after I left my marriage too. So it was a great spot to be in. Women trying to heal other women and then to help build stronger families. Because we were very family oriented in that program. And that for me was a huge thing because my background wasn't straight with the family. When I tried to get married and have the family part right, it wasn't right. So just being a part of something where this was my goal in the end, to have a group of people working together to have some type of success, it was great to be there.
Yeah, and I'm sure those skills translate over to the work that you do with the young ladies where you work at now at Holland.
Absolutely.
Good, awesome, great stuff. So I heard something about you, Miss Cleo. I heard that you have a book coming out.
I do.
Okay, and so we definitely want to talk about that, and that's something else that we have in common. I'm an author, and the name of my book is called From No to Go. There's no GPS for your journey to success. Shameless plug. Pick it up on Amazon. I wrote it in 2018, and I even teach with it in some of my classes that I teach at college. So I want you to tell me about your book because I didn't know you were coming out with a book.
So yes, the book is still in the works.
Okay.
It's something I've been working on for a couple of years now.
It takes years.
The issue that I'm having is having to rehash everything all over again because the book is based on my life.
Okay.
My whole goal here is use my experience to help other people, and not just kids, anybody who's going through anything in life. Anything you can pick from what I'm saying to you, take it and use it for yourself. So I keep changing the direction of the book, also the title of the book. So I'm letting it speak to me. I plan on, by the end of this year, having it all set and ready to roll out.
Good. Oh, God, by the end of this year. Okay, so you have to make sure you release it for early adopters, for people who want to buy it. That's a secret to releasing a book. You actually promote it and announce it before the book is even written. And I guarantee you will have people purchase it before you even finish writing the book. So we'll talk offline about that. So Miss Cleo, what else do you have going on? Because I'm sure that book would be helpful and those types of things translate to the work that you do as well, and it may be even inspiring to some of the participants that you work with. But what else do you have going on?
I also have my crochet business that I am
So you're gonna make me a hat
picking
and
back
a
up.
scarf?
Absolutely, I can. I can. That I was, when I had retired from the medical field before I went into real estate, I was trying to focus on building up my business.
Yes.
But then I had to get a real job and depend on a real, check and not just customers. Because, friends are not customers. They think they can get
Entrepreneur
stuff for
life,
free. Yeah,
I
so,
get it.
I like the idea of doing something that I like and actually getting paid for it, but not depending on client base to do it as far as friends and support and stuff like that. So I took a pause from that, but I'm slowly getting back into that. This summer will be my rollout for that.
So do you have a
line.
favorite thing that you like to create? Like, is it like sweaters, or is it a hat, or your scarves? Is that it? Like, what's your sweet spot in the crochet?
I think my favorite thing to make is probably like baby booties and diaper and hat sets and baby blankets because, I'm an auntie. I just love that stuff.
Yes.
And I used to do that for my doula clients too. I used to make them little gifts when they had their babies. So that was great. That's probably my favorite thing to make. I like to make outfits. I made a skirt and jacket set this year. I like to just, and I like to be challenged. That's my biggest thing too. People send me something, they're like, oh, you think you could do this? I think I can, let's see. So it's not just one thing. My favorite thing would probably be the baby stuff, but overall I enjoy all of it. It was a coping skill. And that's how I got into crocheting. One of the group homes I was living in, one of the art therapists, she was crocheting and yarning, crocheting and knitting. And I just picked it up and I'm like, hey, that looks cool. And I realized how calming it can be. And so I just took it up as a coping skill and realized that I liked it. And people were like, oh, you should start selling stuff. So I was like, okay, maybe I will.
Nice.
So we're here.
Nice. Well, I was going to say, make me something for the next episode, but, it's probably going to be a little warm then. I don't know, I'm probably going to have to lose the sweater, but, once we hit the fall, I'll probably be able to promote some of these things. Okay, Miss Cleo, so one of my favorite memories with you working at Holly Center, and I did kind of briefly mention this, but when I started the Holly Books program, I would do these events, and just to continually promote the Holly Books program, which also came from the Nurture Heart approach. And so we had this big old Easter egg hunt at Holly Center. I guess, was that last Easter?
It was.
I guess, yeah, it was last Easter. And I had this pink bunny suit, and you was kind of jealous because you wanted to wear the bunny suit, but I said, not this time, Miss Cleo. You're gonna have to wear that suit next time. But I had to, and we did this huge Easter egg hunt. And then it culminated with a karaoke party, because I always bring my microphones. And Ms. Cleo, you were right in there. You were in the mix. You were making sure the youths were staying in line, but you were also participating. And I remember, man, you finished it off with a nice little duet with Ms. Cleo. So what else? Do you do karaoke for fun? Is that something that you've done before? Are you a singer? Let's talk about this.
I love karaoke. That's my favorite thing to do. Is a social outing. It's just a fun time.
Yeah.
I like to party. I like to have a good time. I like to let my hair down and just, enjoy life.
Yeah, and I love that type of energy that you bring. It just energizes. It's not only energizing the kids, but it's also energizing the staff as well, because you don't know it. You're just being who you are, but you're really making an example of how to engage and how to be in that. These kids are just like, not always dangerous. Things can be fun too and engaging. So, do you have anything else that you've done at Holly Center after I've left, or that you've participated in, or any other ideas for engagement for the kids? Because I love me some Holly Center kids, and those are my babies, so I need to make sure that they're good.
I'm always trying to get something up and going. Every year for Thanksgiving, I would like for us to have a football game. All of the kids from the whole building come together, and we have a football game, because that's a Thanksgiving thing. I want to do like a talent show night. I think we're working on something like that. The girls, we like to have this dance battle between Fisher and Stanton Hall. Currently, that's the thing. So we've been having weekly or bi-weekly dance battles. But I want to do talent shows. I want to do field day. We do field days. I want to do more of those. I said talent show already. Just something where we're all together, having a good time, because there's a difference between everybody being together and it being chaotic, and we're not being able to do anything after that, and everyone coming together and just having a good time saying, you know what, that was fun. Maybe that worked out. Maybe we can make our way to that next week. That's my whole thing. So I always try to give the kids, like, we'll have a movie night. Hey, if we behave, we'll have a movie night, we'll get snacks, we get to hang out a little later because, you don't have school the next day. Just little things that give them something to look forward to, but it has to be something that's fun because,
And it's also active, and it's also something that can be used for allied groups, shameless plug, for our deliverables, right? Because, we have to keep the kids engaged. And why not think of ideas of things that are not only keeping the youth engaged, but it's also keeping the staff engaged too? Because I know when I was at Hollis Center, whenever we would do those events, we had fun, and it really, it wasn't just, I think the staff had more fun with the kids.
I always
do you
have
think?
more fun.
Yeah, I think the staff had more fun with the kids. So, Ms. Cleo, there is something fun that I want to do with you. This is going to be a little off topic, but I have this ball right here, right? And I like a lot of the trainers, I work for the training department, we'll use this ball in our classes, and you kind of throw it at somebody. And wherever your thumb lands on this ball, you have to talk about it.
Okay.
All right? So I don't know where your thumb is going to land.
Right thumb, left thumb?
Yeah, right thumb. Yes.
Okay.
We do have two thumbs, right? So I'm going to throw it to you ever so gently, and when you catch it, you have to talk about, it might be a question or a statement, but wherever that right thumb lands, that's where we're at.
What are your most dreaded household chores? I actually like cleaning. I like cleaning. Maybe the toilet.
Okay, that's
maybe,
what you like.
Yeah.
You like cleaning it.
I like cleaning. That's the least. Yeah. Okay. I wear gloves with that, so that's safe.
Okay. You gotta get behind that toilet too,
of
because
course.
that dirt like that.
Of course.
Yeah, you gotta get with the sides.
That toilet tells a lot of secrets.
I know. It tells a lot of secrets. So it's not just the inside toilet top. You got to clean the outside.
But I actually enjoy cleaning. When I was younger, that was one of my things too. When there was a lot of chaos going on in my life, I would just clean. I feel like in my head I was washing away whatever was bothering me. So I would clean like crazy. I would take showers excessively because it was just something, and mentally I'm washing away everything else.
Oh, I love that.
That's what it starts
So
in your
maybe
mind.
I should think about that, because I'm like the dishwasher in my house.
Yeah.
And
sees your problems.
So once I'm doing it, I like it. I don't like it before it's done, and I don't like seeing it in the sink. But I do love seeing them go on and clean and put up. So okay, I can relate to that.
The dishes are your problems. You got to wash them away.
Yeah. And I enjoy seeing everything, like the sink clean, all the counters are wiped, and then I just stand back and say, okay, all right, But I can't say I love it though. But I'm working there, Miss Cleo. All right, so now I have to do one. Okay. What work task would you most like to avoid? Oh gosh, you want me to say this on camera? So, the stuff that I like to avoid the most, but it's necessary, you have to do, but maybe, spreadsheets and stuff like that. I would love to have an assistant that managed that type of stuff for me, So, so I'll just leave it at that, right? It would be great. It would be great to have an assistant to do that, but that's the stuff that, I like the least, And of course, this is the type of stuff that I love the most. All right. Oh, that was good. I want you to do another one, Miss Cleo. Oh. There we go. There we go. Okay. All right. I fumbled that one. Let's do that again.
All right. How would you use 2 extra hours per day? Oh, that's great, because I don't have enough time in a day. I don't want to waste it by sleeping, though I could use sleep. I could use sleep. I wouldn't want to waste it. If I had 2 extra hours a day, I would do crocheting and book writing, alternate, because I really want to get those things done. So if I had 2 extra hours, that would be golden.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, okay, I'll do one more. Let's see. It landed on the same one. You got to throw it again. You got to throw it again. Is your space usually organized or cluttered, and do you care? So, my workspace here is, there's nothing there, because I don't really keep nothing in the office. But I do have a workspace at home, and it's usually cluttered, and I do care, because I feel so much better when I declutter.
Uh-huh.
You know, I have a lot of home repairs going on. I had a tree fall on my house last year,
sorry.
so everything is, no one was hurt, but you know, every room is kind of getting repaired room by room. And so, you know, I have to move some things around, you know, like right now my pantry is in my dining room, and I care a whole lot about that because I don't want to see it there. So I can't wait till some of these things are being dealt with. But yes, I do very much care. And I do feel great when I declutter. It makes me feel so good. So, okay, good. Miss Cleo, you're good at this. All right, we're going to put that ball down.
Thank you.
All right, Miss Cleo, is there anything else that you want to share? And it can be for the kids. I know mostly staff are going to be watching this, but I'm sure they'll show the kids too. The kids are going to see because, you know, they're like, oh, I saw you on TV, Mr. Lorenzo. I saw you on a podcast with Miss Cleo. They end up seeing these things. So is there any, and let's do both. Is there advice that you want to give the staff first? Let's start off with the staff who work with the participants.
The main thing I would like to just say is just remember who we're working with. We're working with youth. It's not, you know, troubled youth. We're working with youth. And your interaction with them, respect. You have to have respect. You can't go through life with them, the kids, thinking respect is something you have to earn. That's not going to work with you. Like, it's not going to work in your favor.
Yeah.
So I just suggest that you remember who you're dealing with. You're working with young adults who are navigating life with no guidance prior to this, or being misguided. Meet them where they're at. If you want it to be effective, your presence, and if you're here for the right reasons, and you should be, if you approach them with respect and realize, okay, I'm going to have some issues with them, and again, don't take it personal, because the moment you do that, that's where you lose any type of chance to make a change in their life. Just remember who you're dealing with.
Yeah.
They're not adults. And I think for myself, I've noticed too, as an adult, you'll see a kid do something like, did that make any sense? To them it did, because they're kids. They don't have the experience we had.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to us because we've been there.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case is, we've been that age, we made a silly mistake like that.
Yeah.
Just remember who we're dealing with. They're not adults.
Yeah.
They're not fully aware. Some of them have no idea, and this is not negative to them, but they have no idea what's even going on.
Yeah.
So I can't fault them for how they're reacting to how they're feeling to what's going on. They don't know, they're just reacting.
Yeah.
So just remember, we're dealing with kids who are kids, but also have traumas and everything that they're coming with.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And it's also good to remember that although a youth might appear mature because of their persona, there may be areas where they're much younger and it's undeveloped. But, you know, for example, somebody can have a great vocabulary but can barely read a paragraph.
Yep.
And so that's like a different skill than, you know, reading. And so we don't want to read too much into just something that we see on the surface and just expect them to know these behaviors and to know better based on this one thing. So that's really good.
Sorry, to add on to that too, just remember, sometimes we're just going off of the response or the action. There's always something causing that. So like my new thing now is when someone's upset, what's wrong? I'll just ask them, what's wrong? What's bothering you? Oh, no. Okay. Never mind the fact that you just cursed me out. What's the problem? I can't help you if you don't tell me what the problem is. Always focus on the fact that this action is because they're trying to tell us something. They might not say, hey, I need a hug, but the action is saying, hey, I need a hug. So.
And it's like that action, that's like the tip of the iceberg, right? We see that. We see the attitude or, you know, maybe like the verbal acting out or physical acting out. We see that, but there's always something underneath the layer. There's always like some type of feeling or emotion that's causing these behaviors to manifest. And if we keep our minds on that, I think it makes me feel better about working with the kids. Ultimately, if I'm like, this is a stress behavior, even if it seems willful or very deliberate, it still is a stress behavior, though, right? You know, that the fact that they feel as though that they have to do this in order to try to get what it is that they're looking for. So good, I love that. Now, what about the kids? Advice to the kids.
So my new favorite thing that I'm always telling them is that life really is what you make it. That's a cliche, but it really is. If you go through these programs thinking that telling yourself it's not going to help me, it's not going to make any difference, nobody cares, that's the focus that you're going to go through.
Yeah.
So you have more control over your next placement than you think you do. Do what you need to do while you're in this program. Do it to your best of your ability. It gives you a better chance on going somewhere that's not as lower care. I know that there's different steps to the placements and stuff, but your behavior while you're here matters a lot. And not just here in this program, but moving forward in life. Anything you do today determines what's available for you tomorrow.
Good.
So that's the main thing I would like for them to take. Just, you have more control than you think you do. And it starts with you, though. It starts with the mindset.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So, Cleo, I have a little something for you, a little surprise, if you will.
Okay.
Right? So, as you see, I'm a big plant person. You know, I have plants all throughout my home. I have them all outside of my home. And, you know, I love perennials, the plants that come back year after year. And I'm also a firm believer in giving people their flowers while they are still alive, to appreciate, see them, and smell them. So we have a little something for you, Miss Cleo.
Thank you.
Yes, and these are blue hydrangeas, and you can definitely plant those into the ground, and they will come back year after year.
Thank you so
right?
much.
So like, you probably won't see any outside in bloom right now because they usually bloom in the summertime. But yours are already in bloom, and you can also keep them in like a big pot outside. But they are outside. But I wanted to give you that because it's going to continue to grow for years and years, and hopefully get nice, big, and beautiful as well. And then YCS blue. So.
Yes. Thank you. And matches your shirt.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Cleo, thank you so much for being my very first guest on this Promising Pathways to Success podcast. And this concludes our first episode of the podcast. And I'm looking so forward to bringing on more guests. I mean, they have some big shoes to fill, Miss Cleo. I mean, she was just an awesome guest. And once again, I thank you so much for your presence. And I look forward to doing this again with you. And I will see you next time. I'm your host, Lorenzo Brown, and this is YCS's Promising Pathways to Success podcast.